we also demilitarized by force and then turned around and are now allowing to basically remilitarize. Surely nothing crazy will happen.
Social changes, but despite some discontent, Japan's path to democratic modernity seemed clear, until one day, everything changed.
Here in Russia, you see why we are spending billions of dollars in defense production.
Communism was spreading, and suddenly America was no longer basking in the post-war glow of victory. A new war was on, the Cold War. Idealism vanished. Instead of a progressive democracy, Washington now needed a forward military base with a stable, friendly government. Most of the war-era leaders, experienced and reliably anti-communist, were suddenly pardoned and allowed to seek political office. Few renounced their wartime actions. Instead, communists were now purged from the government, and many progressive policies favoring organized labor and the breakup of monopolies were abandoned, even reversed. Article 9 remained in force, but America did allow the formation of a small pseudo-military, the Japan Self-Defense Force. What came next, however, was downright humiliating. As a condition of the occupation's end, America proposed a treaty. It stipulated the American military could freely station and move troops throughout.
I was gonna say, it's a good thing that the occupation in Japan ended, which is why we don't have military bases all around the fucking island nation. Or, you know, our wonderful crayon enjoyers can go and get drunk and drunk drive and kill Japanese families, or get drunk and drunk drive and then go rape, you know, Japanese women. Only to face very little repercussion, if at all. Good thing we ended that occupation, and we certainly would never do that.
Japan, without being under any obligation to defend the country in the event of an attack. And the treaty had no.
Okinawa is so cooked, they drive on the right side there, bro. Think about that. The rest of Japan drives on the left side of the road. Okinawa, they drive on the right side, motherfucker. Think about that shit. No, they don't. Yes, they do, don't they? I thought they do on the on Okinawa. Look, unlike the United States, people drive on the left side of the road, the slow lane, driving in Okinawa on the fast lane on the right, although the slow lane is on the left and the fast lane is on the right, although there isn't usually a significant difference between either. Okinawa offers a distinct driving experience. Unlike the United States, people drive on the left side of the road. Wait, this is saying driving in Okinawa, people drive on the left side of the road. Like the rest of Japan, Okinawas drive on the left side of the road and international driver's license. Okay, maybe I was baited. When traffic patterns switched overnight, this prefecture was ready. Wait, what? Yeah, no, they did. They did drive on the right side of the road. Okinawa had originally required driving on the left side, just like the rest of Japan. However, when the prefecture was under the control of American occupational force towards the end of World War II, everyone was made to drive on the right-hand side instead. No. I'm not talking about the Osaka, they stand on the opposite side of the escalator thing. No, this is legit. In Japan, everywhere else, they drive on the left side of the road. In Okinawa, however, there was a time when they drove on the right side of the road. I think maybe they changed it though. They changed it back. This region of Japan was one of the few places within the past half century to undergo a right to left traffic switch. The switch in Okinawa was also the first large-scale conversion of its kind since Sweden switched from driving on the left-hand side of the road to the right hand. About 2 months after the day on which Okinawa's motorists began to switch their driving again on the left side of the road, a stone memorial was set up. Wait, so Japan doesn't even have a two-party system? What the fuck? It does. It doesn't have a two-party system. It has a multi-party system, but it doesn't matter because, like, think about it this way. Technically, America also has a multi-party system, except everyone would laugh at you if you were to suggest it as such because it's technically a two-party system, and that two-party is pretty uniparty when it comes to a lot of things. And the similar reality exists in Japan as well. Technically, it's a multi-party system. Doesn't really matter. It's functionally uniparty. Like in America, we have the Green Party, right? We have the Libertarian Party. We have all these other parties as well beyond the Green Party and the Libertarian Party, but like at least they make it to the docket. Like they have a slot on the ballots, right? The other parties, you have to go through a lot if you're independent to like basically get into the ballots to begin with. There are major hurdles, but most people would not consider America to be a multi-party system. They would consider it to be a duopoly. Anyway, let's continue.
Expiration date. Japan had no choice but to accept. So by the time the American occupation ended in 1952, a lot of the early progress made restoring security, dignity, and self-respect to a new democratic Japan had been undone. This security treaty was humiliating, and it caused a serious identity crisis, as Japan was torn between that initial post-war optimism and a new Cold War pessimism, where nothing mattered except stability and anti-communism. A contest over the fundamental question of what kind of nation Japan was going to be.
Before we go any further, I just want to take a second to thank a great friend of the channel and the sponsor of this video, AnyDesk. Because without partners like AnyDesk, we couldn't make these videos. AnyDesk is an incredible program that lets you control and access any of your devices from anywhere in the world at any time. Honestly, it's kind of magical being able to control my desktop from the other side of the world in just 2 clicks. Once you're connected, AnyDesk is great at retrieving files, as I've been doing a lot lately, printing remotely, working from home, or helping family members troubleshoot technical issues. Luckily, it's as easy to set up as it is to use. Just download, type in the access code, and you're in. Easy as can be. Sound too good to be true? Well, try it for yourself at anydesk.com/spectacles. And because it's totally free for personal use, checking it out is a great way to support the channel without spending a dime. You'll be glad you did, and so will we. That's anydesk.com/spectacles. Thank you, AnyDesk. So, Japan is gripped by an identity crisis. 2 images show who was winning this fight by 1960 in the Diet, Japan's parliament. This shows how many seats each party controlled after the 1955 election. These are the 2 biggest parties, the Liberals and Democrats. They're both conservative, and they're totally dominant. But here's the Diet after the next election. The 2 biggest parties are just gone. Except they're really just hiding, because this is the Liberal Democratic Party, a sort of conservative super party formed in a merger that was actually organized in part by the CIA, who wanted Japan's anti-communist parties to join forces. Heading up the new party was this guy, Nobusuke Kishi, a war criminal and former minister in the wartime government. By 1957, he was prime minister, and he had 2 core goals. First, revise the Constitution, eliminate Article 9, and remilitarize Japan. And second, renegotiate the humiliating security treaty with America. Now, treaty renegotiation was widely popular in Japan, not just with the right wing. So when Kishi, after 3 years of haggling with the American government, secured key concessions, mandated consultation with the Japanese government about American troop movements, a defense commitment from America for Japan, and a 10-year term of treaty renewal rather than it being indefinite, he expected to be hailed as a hero.
But there were 2 problems. While treaty renegotiation was widely popular, revising the Constitution was anything but. Most Japanese wanted nothing to do with war, and eliminating Article 9 to remilitarize the country threatened a return to those dark days. Moreover, Kishi wasn't a hero. He was a horrible man who'd helped steer Japan into a devastating war from which he massively...
Bro, good thing that, like, it was a one and done type situation, and I'm certain that the LDP doesn't have like prominence, nor did he have his like children or grandchildren, for example, also run the country. That would never happen in a democratic nation. Japan obviously is Sugoi, it's kawaii. It is a beacon, a shining light of democracy. So like if I were to find out that like they've been basically operating under a uniparty structure for multiple generations, like I would be shocked. Multiple generations of people who either did the war crimes or denied the war crimes ever happened, for example, that would go against the Sugoi nature of Japan. I would say onegashimasu. I would say, you know, tamago-san do doku desu ka? That's what I would say, and then I wouldn't say anything else. Those are the only words I know in Japanese. So I would say nani? I said tamago-san do doku desu ka? Two egg sandwiches, please. Yeah. Or no, I say where's the egg sandwich, right? I said where's the egg sandwich, not two. You asked where the egg, lol. I said where's the egg sandwich? Tamago-san do doku desu ka? Tamago-san do doku desu ka? I remember when you asked me where's the ATM in Japanese in Japan and you thought you fucking cooked. Yeah, bro, I did cook. I fucking cooked that shit up. Excuse me. I'm fucking multilingual. I'm a polyglot, bro. Call me Shauma. Call me Shauma NYC the way I'm fucking speaking all the different languages. Isn't it polyglot? Polyglot? I don't fucking know what it's called. Polyglot is the way I am, okay? Shauma NYC or HasanAbi? Shinzo Abe more like HasanAbi. Except you live in fucking California and speak no motherfucking Spanish. I'm Turkish, bro. Do you know how inaccessible Spanish is to me? It would have been ridiculous if I knew any Spanish growing up in fucking Istanbul and Ankara, bro. There's no Mexicans there. Fuck you mean you don't learn Spanish? It's like, yeah, bro, that's insane. We learn German and French beyond English, okay? Spain? Yeah, dude, the fucking pivotal powerhouse of Europe, Spain. That you would get laughed out of every room if someone was like, hey, we need to teach Spanish. Either, you know, instead of the two options of French or German, we should also do Spanish as well. Everyone would laugh at you. Like, what? I'm saying for Turkey, it's irrelevant and ridiculous. Obviously, for America, it's very necessary. Anyway, let's continue.
Simply profited while the rest of the country suffered. He was also just elitist, arrogant, and corrupt. He openly disdained the media and the Japanese public as beneath him and centralized power in an inner circle of allies. Under Kishi, many feared a comeback of the old Japan. As a result, he'd galvanized not only the left, but a wide swath of Japanese society.
Basically, it doesn't fucking matter if, like, you know, we only criticize China for this kind of shit because, like, China is our enemy, and also they're, like, ideologically claiming to be communist. If they were built by the CIA and saying they fucking hate communists and were built by the CIA specifically to kill communists, then obviously no one would be complaining about China and their political organization. Okay, that's it.
Society against him. And when he attempted to force through legislation expanding police powers to stifle this widespread public dissent, protesters took to the streets and forced him to back down. By January of 1960, even though he'd seriously improved the treaty terms, nobody trusted him, and mass resistance was guaranteed. Instead of calming things down, Kishi had fired the country up. The fight for Japan's future.
Bro, we really fucking fell off, dude. We unironically fell off, like, big time, okay? Like, we used to write other countries' constitutions and shit. Like, think about that. There is no world, like, we can't even command influence over Afghanistan for more than 20 years. That's pretty crazy to think about. Like, we just sit around and hope that there's like a Javier Milei type figure who is going to be an Ameribu in and of itself nowadays. Like, it doesn't have to be a CIA operation. Back in the day, a Javier Milei type figure winning an election would require tremendous CIA interference. Yeah, nowadays we can't even fucking dunk on the Houthis, which we were literally participating in the genocide of. Like, literally, we were doing a straight up, in real time genocide upon this fucking population of like 15-year-olds who are getting rockets from Iran. And now we can't even fucking enforce our will upon them. They just turn around and they're like, yeah, we just have unlimited rockets, dog. You guys are fucked. Our shit costs like 50 grand a pop. Your shit costs like $7 million a pop. You can't keep this shit up. Get fucked. America spent $1 billion trying to fucking trying to wipe out the Houthi capabilities, targeting capabilities in the fucking Red Sea, only to arrive at the same conclusion that the fucking Saudis did, which was, let's not fuck with these people. Let's not fuck with these people, please, bro. Please, please, please. Let's not fuck with these people. They're gonna. We can't deal with it. It's too much money. Yeah, we can't even have a fucking functioning pier. We haven't been able to build a goddamn functioning fucking pier, man. We did anti-vaxxing campaigns in the Philippines because we were scared that the Philippines were going to be too close to China because they were giving them fucking free vaccinations.
Was getting uglier. But Kishi didn't care. He wanted to get the job done. Still, months of massive protests unnerved some LDP legislators, so he delayed the vote on the treaty until May 19th, the last day.
I know it's satire, but at this point you do complain a lot on how America doesn't fucking interfere with developing nations of Java. No, I think it's an important thing to recognize. In comparison to how unimaginably cruel, we are still unimaginably cruel. I mean, the thing that I just explained about the Philippines is unimaginably cruel. Okay? Like, that's insane. It sounds fucking insane that we would do that. And yet we did. But like, it's more so about how much weaker we are in general in comparison to how fucking aggro we were back in the day and how much power we actually did command back in the day. Can you ban this guy for his username? I donate to cam girls. Why? I'm a cam girl. And he donates to me at the top of the hour to avoid seeing the ad. And also to democratize the lack of ad seeing by donating into the fucking community with gifted subs. I'm not going to fucking hate on that. I'm a cam girl, baby. Donate to me, you know? My brother, we are definitely have more destructive potential. It's just people are speaking up and finally slowing the war machine down. You are insane if you think that us speaking out is slowing the war machine down. Yeah, dude. Yeah, they saw the. We listened to the Macklemore song. we listened to the Macklemore song. That's why the genocide in Gaza is done now. We packed that shit up.
Of the Diet's session. But even then, Kishi couldn't be sure he'd get his way. He needed more time. So he moved to extend the session, but the opposition saw it coming, and they blockaded the halls of the Diet, barricading the speaker in his office. Here was an unprecedented confrontation between the two sides of the core identity crisis facing Japan, and millions of Japanese across the country were watching it unfold on their television sets. For hours, it dragged on, until finally Kishi called police into the Diet, an unprecedented move, and had the officers physically carry the opposition members one by one, some literally kicking and screaming out of the building. Then, mere minutes before the session expired at midnight, a mass of officers assembled and forced the speaker through the remaining crowd and up to the rostrum. A 50-day extension was carried. But to everyone's shock, with only his own party present in the chamber, Kishi went further. He called an immediate vote on the treaty. It passed unanimously. That core conflict over Japan's identity was heating up, moving from the ballot box to boxing bouts, as both major parties resorted to force to either obstruct or jam through a political agenda. Kishi won this round, but the treaty's opponents weren't finished. In their view, Kishi had made it clear he'd stop at nothing to get his way, and maybe they should do the same. Crucially for the opposition, the Diet is bicameral. While the lower house voted on May 20th, Japan's upper house still had a say in the matter. They couldn't reject the treaty outright, but they could delay the bill until the next election, when a new lower house might reconsider. If the upper house didn't intervene, however, the treaty would automatically ratify in 30 days, on June 19th. Coincidentally, the very day President Eisenhower was scheduled to make the first U.S. presidential visit to Japan. Convenient timing for a victory lap for Kishi. But hardly anybody in Japan wanted to grant him the satisfaction. Soon, hordes of citizens took to the streets every day, featuring a major protest somewhere in the country. The energy had transcended partisan politics to encompass a majority of the population. These weren't just student radicals or urban laborers, they were office workers and housewives. Even a number of conservatives, fed up with Kishi's suicidal politics, began funneling money from Japan's business establishment to left-wing groups organizing the protests. Still, the Diet's upper house wasn't budging. Yet. But the whole exercise was turning into a real problem for Kishi until on June 10th, just over a week before the treaty was slated to ratify, it got a whole lot worse. Ahead of his arrival, Eisenhower sent his press secretary, Jim Hagerty. But on the way from the airport to meet Kishi, Hagerty's car was assaulted by protesters who surrounded the vehicle, cracked the windows, and caved in the roof, all while shouting anti-American slogans. Eisenhower's security, and by extension the viability of his visit, was called into question. A massive embarrassment for Kishi and a coup for the protesters. It was a small victory, though, because time was running out. The protesters had staged massive demonstrations, unprecedented strikes, even intimidated the President of the United States.
Yeah, they were saying "Go home, Yankee," which is a slur, by the way. Yeah. Liberals are going to be like, wow, dude. Wow. I can't believe these guys were calling us the Y word. The Y word.
United States. Yet still, the country was hurtling toward the ratification date without a hint of delay from the Diet. It was now or never. They needed to do something big. On June 15th, 1960, tens of thousands of Japanese gathered before the Diet building. They were faced by 5,000 police officers. At first, the protests were non-violent. One group even managed to break into the Diet compound, where they peacefully occupied a garden, sang songs, and gave speeches. Elsewhere in the vicinity, though, a cohort of right-wing counter-protesters assaulted the demonstrators using planks driven through with nails. A melee ensued. Now things were completely out of hand. The police, who'd been instructed to exercise restraint, now decided the time for such things was over. They attempted to force the protesters out of the Diet compound, beating many of them unconscious. Blood began to run, instigating a mass panic.
Motherfuckers will bitch and moan about Russia and Poland, but will say nothing about America occupying Japan and writing their constitution. Yeah, because we're the good guys, and the Russians are the bad guys, akin to the Nazis. That's it. And if you were to turn around and say that, like, the American occupation in many Asian countries, the American occupation that is, like, pretty much seemingly permanent in these Asian countries, all of that stuff is, like, unimaginable, really fucked up. People will look at you like, dude, what are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. We are the good guys. That's it.
Panic. In a crowd crush that followed, Michiko Kanba, a female student at Tokyo University, was
There's a HasanAbi
trampled to death.
birther in the chat.
Japan, fanatic students and leftist.
Who is we? Dude, you are Turkish. Nah, he is Turkish. I was born in Denmark. That does not make me Danish. Just because you was in USA does not make you American. I can't believe you banned that guy, Young Peasy. I'm unbanning him. That is exactly the kind of racism that I like seeing in the chat. Like, very funny and very entertaining. That is the funniest type of racism you can arrive at. He stopped being funny. I mean, he was just adding the mods, which is annoying. But, you know.
Rioted for days on end.
By midnight, Kishi had given police full authority to clear the building out, but out here, the protest, inflamed by Michiko's death, raged on. Kishi contemplated calling in self-defense force troops, but his cabinet talked him down. Instead, he announced he would resign within the month. Eisenhower canceled his visit. It would be another 15 years before a sitting US president first set foot in Japan. Still, protests continued to rock the country, reaching their peak on June 18th, one day before the treaty's automatic ratification deadline. As one student protester put it, despite US approval of the new treaty, I felt certain that the revision would fail in the face of such widespread opposition, a conviction shared by the adults around me. However, the upper house remained silent, and on June 19th, the treaty was ratified.
Oh yeah, we had internment camps too.
In one sense, the Japanese left and the broader protest movement had failed. It was a critical victory for the conservative side of Japan's identity crisis. The treaty was ratified and the country had taken a clear step toward US alignment, which was more or less legally locked in until the treaty was due for renewal in 10 years. But in another sense, the opposition had scored a major victory. Eisenhower backed out and Kishi resigned, proving that two could play political hardball. In turn, neither had this episode truly settled the fundamental question about what kind of nation Japan would become. If anything, the choice in the upcoming elections seemed more polarized than ever, as the Socialist Party leader Inejiro Asanuma visited the Chinese Communists, still not recognized by Japan as the official government, where he
Literally so cucked that we would know. We made Japan also not recognize the Communist Party as the official leaders because that was our policy. This guy was too busy fucking mewing, dude. This guy is a mewing legend. If he stopped mewing for a moment and started doing some politics, maybe Japan would be socialist by now. Yeah, he went there to Mog Mao. He looks like Asian you, bro. Dude, what? This is like always the meta. I look at a fucking Turkish communist, you're like, bro, he looks exactly like you. I look at you look like young Stalin. You just have no way of understanding that just, you know, communists and socialists alike are just usually, they're just giga chads. You see a dude with glasses and facial hair and you go, oh, that's Hasan.
Treated with party chairman Mao Zedong, gave speeches declaring his friendship with China and opposition to America, and returned to Japan wearing Mao's signature outfit. Asanuma wasn't just a radical, he was popular, famous for